Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Fifth Quarter Show Seasons. My name's Rick Zamprin, and I'm so happy that you've taken a few minutes out of your busy day to spend it here with me. Fifth Quarter Show community is closing in on 900 strong. Really, a number that I did not envision when I launched the show last August. So I want to share a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed, those of you who have commented on each video, and to the fans of other CFL teams who are enjoying this channel as well. It's really awesome to see. For all the new viewers out there, the Fifth Quarter Show Seasons is a weekly feature in which I look back at a particular year in the history of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and we've been going in chronological order, starting from the founding of the team in 1869, and you can watch all those features right here. And in addition to seasons, check out the biggest Ticats icons of them all in Legends. If you missed the free agency spotlight that we had back on February 11th, that's here as well for your viewing pleasure. Today, episode 14 of Seasons. Many fans and football pundits believe the best ever team in Hamilton Tiger Cats history, better than the 72, 86, and 99 teams, better than those Grey Cup winners in 1953, 57, 63, 65, and all the ones before them. The club with an embarrassment of riches on the field, strong leadership on the sideline and the front office, and a mentality that personified what Hamilton football was all about. 98 years after the Tigers were founded, and 17 years after the Tigers and Wildcats merged, the Canadian Football League truly discovered the full force of Tiger Cats football. And the year was 1967. Following the 1965 Grey Cup, in which Hamilton beat Winnipeg 22-16 in what was coined the Wind Bowl due to the ferocious game-hindering wind, the CFL implemented a rule change. On 3 occasions in that game, the Blue Bombers conceded a 2-point safety instead of punting into the gusty wind and giving the Ticats great field position. Back then, when a team conceded a safety, they gave 2 points to their opponent, but they also got to keep the ball. Well, in 1966, the league mandated that teams that conceded a safety would have to kick the ball back to their opponent. That same year, the slingshot goalposts that we see on football fields today were first used, an invention by former Ticats head coach Jim Trimble. Hamilton finished in second place in the East in 1966 with a record of 9-5 and beat Montreal 24-14 in the East semifinal. But the defending Grey Cup champions were embarrassed by most outstanding player and Canadian Russ Jackson and the Ottawa Roughriders in the 2-game total point Eastern final, 72-17. The loss ended Hamilton's run of 5 straight trips to the Grey Cup. Ottawa ended up losing to Ron Lancaster, George Reed, and the Roughriders in the Grey Cup, which was Saskatchewan's first ever championship. 1967 marked Canada's centennial year, 100 years as a proud and prosperous nation. And the Tiger Cats decided to celebrate the achievement by wearing a special logo on their yellow-colored helmet. Appearing behind the familiar leaping tiger was the 1967 centennial logo, which looked like a red maple leaf. The Toronto Maple Leafs had won their 13th Stanley Cup in 1967, and that same year, the Order of Canada was created. GO Transit service began in Toronto, and Expo 67 was held in Montreal. When the 67 campaign kicked off, many football experts believe that the 55th Grey Cup final at refurbished Lansdowne Park in Ottawa would be a rematch between Ottawa and defending champion Saskatchewan. In Hamilton, Ralph Sazio was entering his 5th season as head coach, and Joe Zuger was starting his 5th year as the starting quarterback of the team, which also included a number of talented veterans like receivers Tommy Grant, Hal Prince Patterson, and Tommy Joe Coffey, running back Willie Bethea, defensive back Garney Henley, and defensive lineman John Barrow and Angelo Mosca. Yet, in their season opening game at home against Edmonton, the Ticats lost 20-14, leaving many to wonder if Hamilton was good enough to compete with the likes of Ottawa and Saskatchewan. The Tiger Cats responded with a sizzling 6-game winning streak, including 2 victories over Ottawa. Jackson and the Roughriders got their revenge on October 1st with a 17-8 win in advance of Hamilton's impending scheduling snafu during the Thanksgiving weekend. The Cats were set to play in Calgary on October 7th and then visit Saskatchewan 2 days later. Predictably, it did not go well. Hamilton suffered their worst loss of the season against the Stampeders, falling 34-10, and then lost a 22-21 squeaker in Regina 42 hours later. And just like that, the Ticats went from 6-1 to 6-4 and were barely hanging on to first place in the East. The Ticats righted the ship the following weekend with a 22-17 victory over BC. And after that game, the Tiger Cats, led by their nasty, physical, and relentless defense, put together an epic run that has never been seen before and has not been duplicated since. Hamilton smoked Winnipeg 31-4, mangled Montreal 26-4, and beat Toronto 9-5 to end the regular season on a 3-game winning streak, and not allowing a touchdown in any of those 3 games. Come playoff time, the first-place Ticats were ready for Ottawa, who had dispatched the Argos in the Eastern semifinal. In the 2-game total point East final, Hamilton beat the Rough Riders 11-3 in Ottawa, and then returned home and won handily 26-0. That made it 5 games in a row in which Hamilton held their opponent without a touchdown. Surely that streak would not continue in the Grey Cup against the defending champs, would it? Hamilton versus Saskatchewan in the 55th Grey Cup in Canada's centennial year was supposed to be a spectacle. It turned out to be a slaughter on what was a bone-chilling day on December 2nd, 1967. More than 31,000 fans packed into Ottawa's Lansdowne Park, and they were left amazed by the brutality of the Tiger Cats' defense. Lancaster was held to just 8 completions in the game for 116 yards, while Reed rushed for 92 yards. Zuger opened the scoring in the first quarter with a 3-yard touchdown run, and Saskatchewan's Alan Ford booted an 87-yard punt that traveled into Hamilton's end zone for a single. In the second quarter, Zuger threw a 72-yard touchdown to receiver Ted Watkins to stretch Hamilton's lead to 14-1, before Coffey scored a rouge on a missed field goal from 42 yards, and Zuger added 3 punt singles. The Ticats closed out the scoring when defensive lineman Billy Ray Loughlin returned a fumble for a 43-yard score and a 26-1 final. Zuger was named the Grey Cup MVP, and Hamilton ended the season by not allowing a touchdown to be scored against them in any of their last 6 games. An astonishing run of defensive excellence that will likely never be matched. Now, despite their incredible achievement, not a single Ticats player in 1969 won an individual CFL award, aside from Division and CFL All-Star nods. To this day, the 1967 Ticats must be considered when debating which CFL team is the greatest of all time. The Ticats had reached the summit of Canadian football for the 3rd time in 5 years in 1967, but it would take another 5 years to get back up the mountain. Thanks for watching this episode of Seasons. The next Legends will drop on February 20th. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment. Until next time, Oskee Wee Wee.